This is the Montana Outdoor Podcast, brought to you in part by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. And by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, get ready for more fascinating topics and the most interesting people you will ever find in Montana's great outdoors. We offer new podcasts most every Saturday. You can get a link to these podcasts by going to our website, montanooutdoor.com, or by going to our Facebook page, or just send an email to downrigger@montanooutdoor.com and say send a link to my email. It's that simple. Now let's head out with your host, Downrigger Dale, and see what's going on in Montana's great outdoors.
Thank you very much, Manny. And as Manny just said, I am Downrigger Dale. And today we are going to go back up on the High Line a bit, talk with Josh Parrow. If you listen to the Montana Outdoor Podcast, or the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, rather, you've probably heard Josh a time or two. He's done some reports from the High Line for us, as well as giving us lots of great information in that. But Josh has been doing all kinds of stuff. I thought, it might be time to catch up with this fella, because he's doing everything from making his family bigger to helping with Walleyes Unlimited and all that. Josh, welcome to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Great to have you along.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to lately? As I mentioned, you welcomed your first child to your family, and now you've increased your involvement in Walleyes Unlimited. Tell us about all that.
We had baby Anaya born on October 19th, right during that youth hunting weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of thought it was going to be a bummer to have a baby during hunting season, but you know what they say, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plan. But we didn't plan it out to have a baby in October, but it happened.
Yeah, it does. But then, of course, you look in those little eyes and melts a dad right away, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I can't wait for 10 years for her to be able to shoot her first deer under the Montana Apprenticeship Program. It'll be right near her birthday too. So
isn't that going to be fun? You guys are going to have years and years of fun. And what's your wife's name again?
What's that?
What's your wife's name again?
Carrie.
Parrow. Yeah. Well, be sure and tell her congratulations as well.
Yeah. And then we really got our hands full. We lost our old yellow lab.
Oh.
Before the baby was born, and I had told myself and told Carrie that I didn't want to get another yellow lab until the baby was at least 2 years old to know what a puppy was. Well, then we found out that this yellow lab that still needed a home was born on the exact same day as the baby.
Oh, well, you got to get the dog then.
Yeah, so now we got a yellow lab puppy and a baby that share the same birthday.
Right on. Well, that's great. Yeah. Well, and those two will probably be inseparable in a few years, I imagine.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
And I think any kid's need to have a good dog to grow up with. And
absolutely. Absolutely. I still remember my dog, my first dog, and we went everywhere together. Well, tell me a bit about what you're doing with Walleyes Unlimited now.
So last year I got voted in as the Region 4 director. So I oversee the Havre chapter, Fresno chapter, the Great Falls chapter, and the Flathead chapter, all in my region. Just kind of my duties is just kind of contact the chapters, see what they've been doing, if they need any help, anything related to the state Walleyes Unlimited. And then at our meetings, I give a report about what each chapter is doing and how people are doing and updates from each chapter. And each chapter holds a banquet, so I try to make it to each chapter's banquet and make my presence known there and go to their meetings when I can. It's a little tough to get to all their meetings, but I call call the officers up at the chapter every once in a while and see what their ideas are and what they're doing and different projects they're doing, and hold that. And then for our local chapter, my wife is actually our new treasurer now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we
So
are
you're
both
definitely
involved in it pretty good.
keeping it in the family. Then that's great.
Yeah, yeah,
And then on top of that, I heard you're going to do guiding now too.
yeah. Got hooked up with old Trevor Johnson from Kids Tackle,
Oh,
kind of
sure,
throwing the
yeah.
idea around, and I messaged him and I asked him. I said, "Do you have any people that are interested ever coming to the High Line for trips or whatever?" And he goes, "Yeah, every once in a while." And before I could even get back to him, he goes, "You want to start guiding?" I'm like, "Well, I guess."
Yeah.
So slowly started working on getting all my ducks in a row for it. There's a lot of process to go through for it, for
Oh,
sure.
sure. Yeah.
And then ended up having a baby in the middle of that. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of took a break from trying to get everything in order, and now everything is in order and I'm all set up and good to go. And been chatting with Ruth Ann from the Tiber Marina, and we're going
Yeah.
to set something up there. She informed me last year that she would get calls frequently at the marina asking if there was a guide for Tiber, and she just have to tell people no. And I said, well, there must be a need there, so I worked for it, and here we are. Looks like it's going to
That
happen.
is great. Because I was going to ask you, are you going to cover that area? Because I've heard the same thing too, that there really isn't anyone that guides there, and of course that's a great fishery.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy to hear that, and I think a lot of other people are as well. Now, are you going to guide just exclusive Tiber or all over the High Line?
Well, basically, I mean, I still hold a full-time job. So
Yeah.
my hopes and dreams are to be able to offer weekend trips at Tiber. If I take vacation from my full-time job and I'm there, I'll have, let people know that we're there, and have Trevor maybe do some advertising that we're, can offer a little bit more trips. But mainly my trips for Tiber will be on the weekends.
Okay.
Offer trips for the weekends, and then I hope to offer mid-weekday trips around here, close to Havre. Is my
Sure.
hopes and
Well,
dreams. I
and
kind of
and we
noticed.
go
I
ahead.
kind of noticed our Fresno campground there. We have a lot of people that they travel from all over the country, and actually we've had people from all over the world. We have people from different countries there stop at the campground. Whether they're renting RVs or they're in their own vehicles, and they stop at our Fresno campground and they stay there for a night on their way to Glacier, traveling on Highway 2. And
Mhm.
they're always checking out the lake and asking us the lake, and they they donate a lot of money there to our campground. I mean, our campground is free to stay, but we have a donation box in the outhouse or by the outhouse there and everything. And they love it, and they're just, a lot of them are on their way to Glacier. And I was like, man, if I could reach out to those people, if they want to go fishing for 4 hours in the evening, and uh, be able to get their license set up and go and take them out while they're there, and be a little bit more experience on their trip. So that's kind of what I'm hoping I can kind of catch, is those people, and take them out
Well, you
fishing while they're staying here on their way to Glacier.
well, you're definitely reaching them right now because we not only of course have podcast listeners from all across Montana, but we are now in the top 25% of podcasts in the nation, and
Yeah,
so we get folks from all around the United States and actually all around the world. We have a lot of soldiers. Men and women in the military that are that listen to us because they like to hear a little of home, and
yeah,
so we always love having all of you that are, I'm sure, listening right now, and thank you for your
yeah. And
service to our country.
speaking of military, that's the other thing that I've been able to part of the last couple of years, is the Warriors on the Water. Last 2 or 3 years, I've been going down and helping take the veterans out for Warriors on the Water on
Oh,
Fort
excellent.
Peck, and that's an amazing time. I really enjoy doing that, and hope to do that every year. So
Yeah, and I've heard so many good things about that. it really is. Well, it's a way to try to pay these folks back for their incredible service and sacrifices, but also it's very therapeutic for a lot of these men and women that have seen some pretty rough times. And
Yeah,
so
no, it was
I'm
great.
glad to hear you're doing that.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
time we went out, we took I can't remember the gentleman's name now, but he was a medic, and they go to Hell Creek first. They fish in Hell Creek, and they have an award for the biggest walleye and stuff. And I couldn't remember what it was, but the biggest walleye at the time, it wasn't very big for Fort
Uh-huh.
Peck. I was like, oh, we can do better than that. I was like, I want to go get this guy a bigger walleye. That was my goal. Well, that's all he wanted was to catch a pike. I didn't realize
Oh,
till after he was on the boat for a while, and we were pulling cranks up Fort Peck, and he's like, can we catch a pike doing this? I'm like, well, yeah, we can catch just about anything doing this. And he's like, oh, great. I'm like, so right after he asked me that, we caught 2 pike in a row, and he was tickled pink. And
oh, that's great.
so
Oh, that's great. Yeah, there's plenty of pike there too, and some
yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
ones, no doubt.
So
Now, I know, part of the role of Walleyes Unlimited is, of course, putting on tournaments, but also helping other, tournaments around the state. And you guys just recently, I mean, we're recording this just before the ice tournament. That's on Fresno, right?
yeah, it'll be
Is it?
Fresno on this weekend. Actually, yeah, we just
Yeah. And you guys
dropped
just
off.
helped them out, right?
What's that?
You guys just helped out the Fresno ice tournament, right?
Yeah,
Walleyes Unlimited?
we're making a donation to it. We actually just, since my wife's the treasurer, we just actually went out and dropped off the uh, donations from the Fresno chapter tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will have guys out there helping measure and weigh fish, and out there just making a presence and helping with prizes and whatnot. I personally don't know if I'll be there, but our chapter's been helping with it for a while, and yeah, it's not our actual tournament; it's the Fresno Taverns tournament.
Right, but you guys help out, in those different things as well. And I want to
Yeah,
talk more about Walleyes Unlimited and that, but we're going to take a quick break here and
yeah,
hear from one of our great sponsors. But when we come back, I want you to talk a bit about how Walleyes Unlimited is doing around the state, and we'll get into a little bit about for those people that are not members right now. We'll talk a little bit about why they might want to consider that. It's a great organization, so we'll do that right after this. Are any of you out there having trouble deciding what the perfect floor for your home should be? Why not let Superior Hardwoods of Montana guide you through the woods? At Superior Hardwoods of Montana, their mission is to provide you with the knowledge to make the best choice for you. Thinking bamboo? My friends at Superior Hardwoods say, leave it in the zoo feeding the pandas. Superior Hardwoods is a plastic, stone, and grass-free zone. They are the home of true, solid hardwood flooring options. It doesn't matter what your contractor, your best friend, or your mom would put in their house. Your floor is your choice. Come and browse their vast stock of flooring. Yeah, that is where that saying comes from. Let them guide you through the woods. And they really do just that. With a huge selection of woods to choose from and true pros in wood products with you, it will not take long for them to help you zero in on just what you were looking for, even if you weren't even sure what that was when you walked in their door. Their specialty is transforming those confused, frustrated, and about to give up kind of folks into happy, well-informed customers. Go see them, Superior Hardwoods of Montana, on the web at superior-hardwoods.com, or stop in and see them at 5120 Highway 93 South, just south of Missoula. Superior Hardwoods of Montana. That's superior-hardwoods.com. And we are back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Josh Parrow is my guest, and we're talking about all the different things that Josh has been up to, from his, having a new baby, but also guiding now, and Walleyes Unlimited. And I want to spend a little time on that, Josh, because I just think that's a great organization. And tell me a bit about how Walleyes Unlimited is doing around the state, and especially talk a bit about for those of our listeners out there that are not members of Walleyes Unlimited. Talk a little bit about why it's a good idea to join that organization.
Well, I'd like to start off, I guess, if it's okay, about why I joined.
Sure, absolutely.
So, growing up in my younger years, I didn't know much about walleye or anything until I didn't really know much about walleye until I actually went to Canada on a fishing trip and finally caught walleye up there.
Yeah.
But I came to Havre and bought a boat right away with my first week of moving up here, and got in a really good feel for these guys, for the chapter up here, and everybody was really, really welcoming. And I saw all the programs right away for the kids, and the events we do for the kids' day and the field trips, and just the amount of the mission statement to get a kid out and get a kid fishing. And unfortunately, in my area that I grew up on the other side of the state, I mean, Walleyes Unlimited didn't have much of a presence. And I mean, Walleyes Unlimited has been around forever, and I didn't know anything about it till I came up here to Havre.
Mm-hmm.
So for what I saw, for what was done with the kids and the fisheries and everything else, I knew this is something I needed to get involved in right away.
So, Josh, one of the things that I learned years ago, and in another life, I spent quite a bit of time in network radio and lived down in Nashville, Tennessee, but did radio out of there all across the United States and Canada. And I got approached by an organization that was made up of all the tackle manufacturers and boat manufacturers and that, called the Sport Fishing Promotion Council. And their main thing was to try to, get information out about boating and water and that. But one thing they noticed when they did a study was that there was a decline in the number of young people that were getting out fishing. Mm-hmm. And so they did a big research project on this and found out that if a kid does not fish by the time they're 12 years old, they probably will never start in their life. And that was a big eye-opener to them, and something I had no idea about. But the other thing they found out was that nowadays it is not the parents that are introducing their kids, or a lot of them anyway, and this is on a nationwide survey, but it's the grandparents that tend to be the ones that introduce kids to fishing. Now, Montana's probably a little different in that parents, I think, are more dedicated to getting their kids outdoors. But that really opened my eyes. And then talking to FWP and all that, they've expressed some concern that we need to get more young people out there. Of course, for one reason, that's how we fund the FWP, is through license sales. So if young people are not becoming fishermen, well, that could be a disaster down the road. How is Walleyes Unlimited doing with attracting young people into that organization? Because if you're somebody listening out there that has young people, or you're a young person yourself listening, if you're wanting to know about fishing, Walleyes Unlimited is a great place to start, I think, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. So we have, there's pretty much every chapter has a kids' day. The Great Falls chapter, which is, they serve a lot of kids. They did a lot of, they do the big Wadsworth Pond, and they got hundreds and hundreds of kids that show up to that, and it's a quite amazing event. And every kid that gets a rod there, and they do a little bit of fishing with them. It's hard to take a lot of that many kids fishing
Yeah.
all at
It
once.
can get wild.
They did another event at Augusta this year, or this last year, 23. It's 24 now. And then they did an event with the kids on Maelstrom Air Force Base. And
Awesome.
those kids, Maelstrom Air Force Base, we all know those kids are going to move around and probably not stay in Montana for very long.
Right, but might as well get them introduced to the sport, because great thing about fishing is it's a sport you can participate in for your whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. When I like the one story when I first got involved and we did the kids fishing tournament, and we have it advertised on the radio and stuff. And we advertised that we're going to fish from a boat, but if you don't have a boat, come out to Fresno and we'll get you in somebody's boat. And this guy and this kid, they were just traveling through for some reason in Havre, just happened to hear about it on the radio. And he didn't know what to do. He went and bought a fishing license, and we had Kmart open at the time. He went up to Kmart and bought one of those little tiny tackle boxes and a rod for his kid. And they get in my boat, and I tell him, "Oh, you don't need that." And he saw all the rods in my boat, and he's like, "Oh, wow." And the kid said, "Yeah, your kid can use whatever rod I got in the boat. It's fine." And he's just like, "This is amazing." Like, and that's what it's about. I mean, just to get those kids out and get them involved in it. And I was fortunate, the family that I lived in, I mean, and grew up around I was fishing from the time I could walk, and that's what I was all about. And I told you before, we grew up in Anaconda, right across the street from Scott Collinsworth. Scott's my dad's cousin.
Fort Peck Marina,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Me with it goes by Fluff. Me, my dad, and Fluff, we'd be on Georgetown Lake on a little 14-foot boat that my dad inherited from my grandpa, and that was just my best memories right there. Just being on that 14-foot boat, just one rod in the hand, and just catching whatever we could. And our every weekend we were either at Clark Canyon or going up to Canyon Ferry. And so that's I just look back at my childhood memories, and I just these kids that we reach out to Walleyes Limited, if I can help them in any way get those same memories, just because their lifestyle, they might not have the chance to get out on a boat and get fishing, but if I can help with that in any way to get them that chance, it's what I really love about it.
Well, and the great thing about it is, if you don't have a boat, that's okay. There's great walleye fishing in rivers. In Montana, of course, there's great fishing all over. My grandpa was the one that introduced me to fishing, and he didn't have a boat. But we would go up to Flathead and fish off the shore. And
for the longest time, the state record on Tiber was caught from shore.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I was just going to say on Tiber there was. So, and speaking of Tiber, they also have a kids' day up there too, don't they? I remember right.
Well, we had Camp Walleye.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I helped with that. It hasn't happened the last 2 years. I would like to hopefully get it going again as part of it being in my region. Me and my wife went over and both helped to that. It's a full weekend. Well, it was a full weekend until COVID messed that up for us of fishing. And it was like a walleye tournament style for kids, but it was way more laid back, and I loved it. It was amazed. Pat and Jen Volkmar out of Great Falls, they did an amazing job with it for many, many years. I wish I could have got involved with it many years ago. I got involved with it the last few years that it was able to go. But yeah, kids would show up Friday night on buses, and they'd get tackle and shirts and rods. And we'd already be there with our boats and our campers for us staying there, and then we get up on Saturday morning. All the kids would get breakfast, and we take them out fishing until lunchtime. And then have lunch, and then take them back out fishing again till dinner time. And you take two different kids out each time. and the parents were welcome to come. There's a lot of times I took 2 kids and the parent out on my boat too.
Yeah.
And it was a great time. I actually I skipped the Fort Peck tournament one year to actually go to that instead. I felt my heart, I needed to go to help with Camp Walleye because they ended up being on the same weekend. And
but there's kids events all around the state.
Oh, absolutely. There? Yeah.
So how would someone find a Walleyes Unlimited chapter near them? Is there is the best place to go to a website, or what's the best way to?
Yeah, we have our Montana Walleyes. Let me see. I believe it's MontanaWalleyesUnlimited.com for the state, and there's the obviously Facebook pages and everything else.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just Google Montana Walleyes Unlimited, and it's the first thing that comes up, and you got club info, and there's usually events and calendar events on there, and different chapters depending on where you're at. I mean, you can, they have their own Facebook pages. We have our own Facebook page and our own website for Fresno, and so does Great Falls. We reach all the way from Miles City. We actually have a chapter in Wyoming, believe it or not, the Bighorn chapter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so if you, folks that are listening out there, go to that.
There's the puppy.
No, the puppy showed up in your area. There you go. Well, if folks are listening out there that want to get their kids involved, and I'm going to talk a little bit about just adults getting involved too, but for the kids to get involved, just go to the Walleyes Unlimited webpage, or like you say, Facebook. You're going to find a chapter near you. Get involved, have some fun. And the great thing about Walleyes Unlimited too is, I mean, you can be as involved as you want. It isn't like it becomes some big arduous thing you're always having to do, but they kind of let you kind of come and go as you want. But I think once you get started, you get hooked on it. Pardon the pun. You really do.
No, it's
now. What about, we've had so many people moving into Montana, and just, I think when COVID hit, people started trying some things and rediscovering their own backyard, and we actually saw adults that had never fished before that started to get into it. So I think for an adult, that could be a fun thing to do, is get involved in Walleyes Unlimited. But I think where the barrier to entry comes in there is, I think some people, Josh, think, well, gosh, I'm new to fishing. I don't know very much, and I don't want to look stupid, and because all these guys in Walleyes Unlimited know all this stuff about fishing, so that'll be kind of weird. It's not that way at all, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, everybody is very welcoming. I mean, I honestly, since I've been a part, it's a whole other family.
Yeah.
And not just because of the tournaments. I mean, because of tournaments also, but just being a part of everything Walleyes Limited is a part of. I cannot go to any lake in the state and fish any lake, no matter what time of year, whether it's tournament time or after tournament time or anything, and not run into somebody that I know from Walleyes Unlimited.
Yeah. It really is. I think you put it well, that it's a family like that. I remember one time we were, I was up at Fort Peck with the captain, and there were some people that we were just about put in, and there were some people that came driving in, and they asked, what kind of fish is in that lake? We're just, driving through Montana. We don't know anything about fishing or the lake. And so they got to talking to us and some other people around. And we had quite a few people that were going out on the boat with us. But this other group said, hey, if you guys have the time, you're welcome to hop on our boat and go out. They didn't know them or anything. Well, these people ended up going out for the whole day. They ended up booking a room at Eddie Mint's place there at the Lake Ridge Lodging and Bait Shop, and they stayed for a few more days and just had a ball. And they were city folk, I guess you could say, but I'm positive that they are very avid fishermen now.
Yeah.
They really had a great time. And all those people that jumped in there and said, hey, come on out with us, and here's how you do it, and all this stuff, they were all Walleyes Unlimited members. So that really is the kind of family. And that's what I wanted to point out is don't be intimidated. You will be welcomed whether you've never fished before or been fishing all your life, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, and we want people to be involved as much as they can. And yeah, you don't have to have the big fancy boat, and you don't have to have been fishing for all your life. I mean, it's a really great family to get involved in. And like you said earlier, now that I'm involved, I'm definitely hooked in everything that Walleyes Unlimited event is going on. I try to do my hardest to be there, and it's been amazing for sure.
And
They've been really.
Walleyes Unlimited, outside of just introducing people to fishing, they do a lot of other things. Talk a bit about some of the programs and different things that the different chapters are doing. I know you had mentioned to me before we started this podcast that the chapter up is it up on Flathead is doing some.
Yeah, the Flathead
stuff?
chapter. It's kind of funny that we have a Walleyes Unlimited chapter for Flathead when it's not really a walleye area, but
Yeah,
they are they are working on a major need for a parking area at what they call Summers,
right.
at the north end of Flathead. I was just talking with Bob Hickey up there before we started this, that people are parking in some pretty dangerous areas, and obviously that valley area has grown like crazy.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so they see a very need for a big parking area up there. So they're pretty adamantly working on trying to get that done for vehicle, boat, trailer parking up there. And then they do a lot of stuff in the winter with kids out on ice trips with the kids over there in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they got some other boat dock projects and stuff going on their bodies of water over there for sure. And then we work with FW. Well, not just us; they do it on Tiber too. But the Christmas trees for the Pines for Perch program.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
pretty big.
yeah. Yeah, talk a little bit about what that Pines for Perch is. I know we've talked about it on the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, but it's a really neat idea for building habitat, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. The Pines for Perch. Yeah, it's basically the thought is that for these habitats for the perch eggs to be able to collect on those pine trees. And so yeah, it's just we ask people that, hey, instead of throwing your Christmas tree out to the dump this year, let us throw it out in the lake and for habitat for these perch to lay their eggs on. And it's been working. They've been using it for sure. There's been eggs being found on these trees. And
yeah, they weight them down, and then that creates this. One of the perfect environments. I've seen some pictures that they've taken that show how well that it goes to. And of course, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, the reason you want to help perch is because if you got a lot of perch, you're going to end up having a lot of walleye because that's one of their main foods of choice.
Oh yeah, and the perch are fun to catch too. I used to love catching perch as a kid. Still love catching perch. I actually snagged one of those Christmas trees up at north end of Tiber one time, and I pulled it out, and I was like, "Oh hey, this is Christmas tree," and it was full of crawdads,
Really?
and a bunch of jigs. Yeah. So I pulled all the jigs off it that I could that still looked good and threw it back in the water.
Well, why leave them down?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, no, they definitely have been working, and we have a big container set up here in the city square of Havre where people can donate their trees, and our guys on our chapter, they go and get leftover trees that are usually from Home Depot and other stores in Great Falls that never got sold. Last year, Walmart actually had a big bad batch of trees, and they were dying before Christmas even happened. So we got a bunch of those trees last year. So
awesome.
Yeah, so we've been doing that for a while, and then our scholarship programs is another thing that Walleyes Limited does. It's not necessarily for in the fishing realm, but we both on a local level and state level have scholarships offered.
Mm-hmm. And, so right there, those are some great reasons to get involved. And of course, there's a membership involved in fees there. And then you guys do different fundraisers too, right?
Yeah. Pretty much each chapter has a banquet. Ours, Fresno chapter, will be April 20th here at the Ice Dome. The Flathead chapter would be March 2nd. I wish I had the location for that, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Great Falls chapter will be there at the fairgrounds on February 3rd or 2nd, I believe.
Well, and those are fun events too, and I think that's where if you wanted to join, that's a good way to do it. Is join, get involved in the banquet.
Yep.
Those are a blast, and
Yeah,
they do all kinds of things from auctions to you name it. So
yeah, and I
good
just
reasons.
looked at it as February 3rd for the Great Falls chapter.
February 3rd or 1st?
For their third for their banquet that Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we actually there's usually deals that if you do want to get your membership in for the banquet, your membership actually you can get a deal for either winning something or have a little bit price knocked off your membership if you get it at that banquet time.
Yeah, and that's a good way to start because you'll also meet a lot of other people too, and to me that's a great reason to join there as well. As we talked about before, people are very open with their knowledge and helping, teach each other, as well as you end up making some extra fishing buddies for life. Then you go out fishing. So there's just a lot of good reasons to support your Walleyes Unlimited chapter and get involved. Now, you guys do a big tournament in that's coming up in June, right?
Yeah. So our Fresno tournament will be the second stop of the Montana Walleye Circuit, and that's going to be June for us, anyways. June 7th and 8th. It's going to be a Friday Saturday tournament this year. I believe all the tournaments are going to be Friday Saturday except for Canyon Ferry, if I remember right. Those dates are still waiting to be approved from FWP, as far as I know. But it'll be the Fort Peck Crooked Creek tournament, which is being held down at the dam now in the May, and then the Fresno tournament will be the second stop of the Montana Walleye Circuit.
Yeah, and those are a blast. Something you should definitely take part in, and you can win some pretty good money. Fishing in those things too.
Yeah. So I'll be the tournament director this year for the Fresno tournament.
Now, when will you guys start taking registrations to get a team and stuff going? When does that start? Probably not for a while yet, huh?
Yeah, it'll be on the Montana Walleye Circuit page. Tammy Parrow is the one that heads that, and basically everything goes through her on that. So she's not taking it.
Right. And we'll announce it here on the podcast as it gets closer. And then, of course, on the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, we always talk about those. So if you stay tuned here or look at MontanaOutdoor.com, we'll be promoting it too, as well as, of course, check out your Walleyes Unlimited webpage too.
Yeah, and I really want to emphasize this, since we're talking about kids earlier. A lot of people don't know that we have an 11 and under category now in the tournaments.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Scott Collinsworth, he actually headed that off and is a big sponsor of that. Kind of realized it kind of got unfair that you're having an 8-year-old kid fish against a 17-year-old kid that can, drive a boat, fish just as well as an adult. So they actually divided up the adult child teams to 11 and under in their different category now. And it's kind of opened up the doors for some of those younger kids. And I would definitely like to see more of those 11 and under category kids get involved in, and hopefully we can push that and get those kids involved and get them a chance to get in the big tournament. And even though they're in their own category, they have just as much chance to win the full money as the rest of the guys too. So
yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
they'll have a lot of fun and meet some new friends. We're going to take one more quick break here, Josh, and then when we come back, we'll wrap it up. But I also want you to talk a little bit about how if somebody wants to book a trip with you and do some guiding, have you do some guiding, I want you to talk a bit about how they can do that too. So we'll do that when we come back right after this. The other day, I was out doing a little shopping and saw a fellow pull up in his side-by-side ATV, and it had a Boss snowplow mounted on the front of it. I just had to stop and tell him how amazed I was to see the perfect-sized Boss snowplow mounted on that like it absolutely belonged there. I said I had no idea that Boss made a snowplow that fit so perfectly on an ATV. He said, yeah, me neither. But I went into Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, Montana, and told them I really needed something that could help me use my side-by-side to plow smaller driveways and sidewalks. And I'll be darned if they didn't have the perfect thing. It does an amazing job and has given my snowplowing business the perfect tool. The folks at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer mounted it on my side-by-side and showed me how to make that thing work like nothing I'd ever seen. Well, folks, that's Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer for you. They always know how to help anyone get the job done, whether it's the perfect Boss snowplow that obviously fits on any kind of rig, to the best dump trailers and truck beds. Folks, I just can't think of a better place to send you to. They have a full service department and can even help you get financing so you can get what you need right away. I hope you're having a great and safe winter out there, and if you're not, remember Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer, because chances are they have just what you need to make this winter the best you've ever had. Go see them at 5680 Expressway in Missoula, Montana, or on the web at rmtte.com. That's Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer, rmtte.com. Go see them and have the best winter ever. We are back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast talking with Josh Parrow. He's with Walleyes Unlimited, as well as he's got a guide, doing some guiding now and a lot of other things. And just wrapping up quickly our discussion about Walleyes Unlimited. Is it true that that's how you met your wife? Was that a tournament?
Well, we didn't actually meet there. Met her through other ways, but she got involved with it when we did get together. And we were started doing tournaments when we were still just dating.
Yeah.
And so the 1 year finally, after we had been together for quite a while, I actually proposed to her at the Fresno tournament.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did that surprise her? Was she expecting to be have you proposed during the tournament?
I don't think she was quite expecting that. I knew she had to have known it was coming at some point, because I was getting some hints that it better be coming at some point since we had been together so long.
You better put a ring on it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I actually, her parents don't fish the tournaments. Her dad follows the circuit and stuff, but he's never actually fished it. And so I told her parents, I'm like, hey, you might want to come out to the rules meet for the tournaments, because that's when I proposed to her, was at the rules meeting of the tournament. So,
well, that shows some dedication right there.
Yeah.
And now she must really enjoy fishing in that as well, huh?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a passion that we share together for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a family that fishes together stays together.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, that is for sure. Especially when you get your daughter out there, when she gets older, you guys are going to have a ball.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you guiding now, which obviously, you bring a lot of knowledge. So I think people are going to enjoy having going out with you and learning a bit. And that's something I always say to people when they say, well, gee, I'd like to get into fishing, or maybe there's a lake like, say, Fresno or Tiber that somebody says, I've never fished that lake and I don't even know where to start. I always say, hire a guide. That is a great way to learn, because they'll take the time and show you. They don't mind doing that. How do people get a hold of you if they want to have you take them out fishing?
So they can contact me through Trevor Johnson at Kids Tackles if they're down in that area and already know have contacts with Trevor. I have my email it's Parrow Guide Services at gmail.com. And then I do have a Facebook page set up also.
Well, what I'll do for those of you listening is I will put it, when you came to this podcast, there's the podcast description. Down towards the bottom of that, I'll put some links in there. I'll put a link to your email and to Trevor's guide service there, as well as your Facebook page, and of course Walleyes Unlimited. I'll put some links there. So those of you listening, that'll make it easy for you to be able to find Josh and to find Walleyes Unlimited and get involved. Is there any thing you want to close with, Josh, as far as any long-term goals that Walleyes Unlimited has coming up, or any other things you want to talk about before we go?
I just say our long-term goal is to hopefully keep this organization going and keep our young kids out interested in the outdoors, and just to show kids that if you work at it and have a goal set, and as long as you keep going, you can achieve it.
Yeah. And as I said, it's something you get started. It's a sport you can do your whole life.
Yeah.
It is not near as frustrating as golf. Not knocking people that like golf, but I have found that
it can be kind of frustrating, I'll tell you that.
They can, but I've never had a bad day of fishing, ever. Even when I've not caught a thing, I've never had a bad day. But it for sure is something that I hope everybody will get involved in and have some fun. And it's just a great way, whether you've been fishing your whole life or never tried it before. I can't recommend Walleyes Unlimited enough. And also, a great way to start. Hire a guide like Josh here, and he can get you out. And you'll learn a lot. You'll learn about equipment, all those things that can get you started on a lifetime of a lot of fun. Josh, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today and spending some time with me. And don't be a stranger. Come back again and tell us more about what's going on there in the Parrow family.
Yep. Sure will. Thank you for doing this.
You bet. Josh Parrow, ladies and gentlemen, thank him and get a hold of him. I'll have all his contact stuff there in the podcast description. And get out there and do that. Have some fun. Until then, we'll talk to you again down the road here in the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. It has been brought to you in part by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. So what did you think of today's podcast? Send your questions and comments to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com. We should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, we will see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.